Have you ever wondered why good people stay broke and the bad guys seem to make all of the money? Well, people come up with whatever reasons they have in their mind. Some people say, well, it's just the way it is, or well, society is corrupt, so it's just fashioned to support the wicked, the strong, not necessarily good people. But is it really so? Because I want to take you back all through the past lessons that we've been going through about the crooked manager, and I'll pick a very salient point that could help you win in this life as a good person, because this is so crucial when we have the wrong role models in place, and we have people believing that, well, you got to get your hands dirty, you got to do something terribly evil, and for you to become a wealthy sort of person. I have people playing zero-sum games, and I have people being conditioned, especially by the media today, with all the brainwashing that is going on, that wealth and money and, in quotes, the good life is only for the big bad wolves. You're following, right? Because just imagine this movie, and they had to title The Wolf of Wall Street and all of that, and you have generally movies painting good people as poor and bad people as rich. I think we've been sold a lie, and I think there's something we can learn as people who want to contribute positively to society on how to build, how to increase what we have, how to take advantage of our situations without having to soil our character. So back to where I'm coming from. We've been talking about a crooked manager who was caught in the act of stealing from his boss. The boss demanded an audit, and this guy found out, look, I'm going to be out of a job sooner than I thought. And the steps he took to survive, right? The steps he took to strive. And we found out that, first of all, he self-evaluated. He discovered his strengths and his weaknesses. Secondly, he drew up a plan. Thirdly, he had a list of people that he could talk to. And fourth, he made an offer that they just couldn't resist. And found out the fifth, that this guy was somebody that had developed a reputation for being trustworthy. In other words, people knew that if he said he was going to do something, they could trust him to do it. Now I'm going to read you some verses, and we're going to look at a very important conclusion to this matter that arrived just looking through what Jesus has to say about this guy, because it's very impressive that this crooked manager, he praised him, lauded him, and maybe there's something good people like you and I can learn from this. So I'm reading once again from Luke 16 from 8 to 9. I just take off all your religious filters. This isn't about religion, it's about principles, all right? And these principles are timeless if you stick with them. So we're reading Luke 16, 8 to 9, and here's what he says. He says, now here is a surprise, all right? The master praised the crooked manager. And why? Because he knew how to look after himself. Just hold on to that point. A lot of good people don't know how to look after themselves, because we've been given a whole lot of wrong impression about what being good is all about. We think that being good is converting ourselves into a doormat for everybody to walk all over us. We think that being good is about helping everybody arrive at their destination at the detriment of our own goals. And the world is full of manipulators who will sell you this lie. Is people find out, wow, okay, this guy, he's got a good character. He's not the type that is dubious, not the type that wants, to go around committing crimes, or go around cheating people, all of that, and they just want to take advantage of you. Now, if you're not smart, if you don't catch on to these principles, people are going to ride on your back, achieve all their destinations, and just dump you. Of course, I believe in the law of sowing and reaping. I believe that when you sow good seeds, you're going to reap a harvest, a good harvest at that. I believe that the person you're sowing good seeds into his life is not necessarily the person you're going to reap a good harvest from, but we're talking about business here. I mean, why should you go into a business without a contract in place? Written contract, not verbal contract at that. And you see, that's because most good people assume that other people are just good like them, and that's a form of pride. You don't have to arrogate the demands of your moral status on another person. You don't have to demand that somebody else becomes just as good as you just because you're doing business with a person. That's wrong. It's called business for a reason. We have rules, we have laws for a reason. So learn how to look after yourself in your business. Learn how to look after yourself. Don't just say, well, I trust my employees, they're going to do the right thing. You're going to be shocked. All right? Study things for yourself. But I digress. So let's continue to the very next point that is made here. He says, streetwise people are smarter in this regard than law-abiding citizens. Isn't it a very important point to note? Imagine that most folks who are streetwise when you're having a deal with them, they're assuming that you're coming there to cheat them. That's the first assumption, because that's what they will do. But you, because you're the good type, you tend to assume, oh, this guy is going to be nice and keep to his words. And that's part of what we're trying to correct today. You have to learn, all right, to be smart like the guy on the streets. All right. Okay, so we'll keep on. It says here, they are on constant alert, looking for angles, surviving by their wits. When you're in a deal, when you're in a business, are you conscious of what you're doing? Now, not take this for granted. What I'm trying to say here is very straightforward. Some of us run our businesses on autopilot. We are not thinking of what we are doing because we're so used to wake up, go to the office, do this, do that. We're not really thinking through the process. We're not really alert. We're not picking the silent signals being sent out by the people that we're interacting with. We are not listening to our intuition. But the average bad guy listens to what you're not saying because he knows words are just words. He listens to your body language. He listens to the things you didn't even bother to say. And these are the things that good people tend to ignore that keep them broke. You find a guy and you say, well, before I signed this deal that I lost a lot of money on, but I just lost something inside me telling me, don't put your hand to it. So why didn't you listen to your intuition? Because you're assuming the other guy is just as good as you and will keep his word. This is one of the reasons why a lot of good people are broke. They don't have the let me not call it strength of character. They don't have the personal determination to face the fact that, look, I could just be dealing with somebody who is a crook. You won't assume everybody is good. It says here, people who are streetwise, they are on constant alert, looking for angles. Are you looking for angles when you're doing business? Or your mind is just on a narrow track and you don't see the bigger picture? The street smart guy sees the bigger picture. He doesn't just go for, okay, I'm here to sell oranges and that's all there is to this. I'm going to sell my oranges and I'm going to get out of your way. That's not how the street smart guy works. He looks out for angles, for opportunities. He looks out for other deals that are available. He looks out for other things that are on the table. He doesn't let anything go. And this is part of what they've practiced over and over and over again. They go for the whole deal. They don't just go for some of it. They don't say, well, let me just make some money and leave the rest for somebody else. They go for the whole stuff. And you've got to pick up this attitude, this mindset. Look at the bigger picture. Look at what else could I make in this deal that I'm involved in. Look at, all right, if I'm, for instance, selling oranges, do you know what mangoes do? I'm going to get smart, street smart in this way. Then he says, surviving by their wits. I'll come right back to that. And he says here, I want you to be smart in the same way, but for what is right, using every adversity to stimulate your creative survival. Wow, wow, just wow. Now turn it upside down, say mom, and then say wow again, all right? Now follow me. Into this world, we just assume that everything is just going to go as planned, and that is not how success works. Success is like a very unpredictable journey. And then he says, street smart people use every adversity. Instead of allowing themselves to be conquered by adversity, they use every adversity to stimulate their creative survival. Look at today's world. We have a generation that's been trained to give up at the slightest sign of opposition or adversity or the woke mob or whatever you may call it, or the cancel culture that we have today. People just fold and give in. But it says folks that thrive learn to use every, not just some, every single adversity thrown their way. They use it to stimulate their creative survival. Just think about it. In today's world, we've got people trying to have everything so well planned, and I have this point, I'm going to move from point A to point B to C, but that's not necessarily how your business, your life is going to turn out. Sometimes you're going to be handed a very large mess, and do you have the character, do you have the strength of personality to turn your adversity into a means of creative stimulation for you? Just think about that for a minute. You could actually let the adversity that comes your way become what stimulates you to greater achievement. It says you've got to learn to concentrate your attention on the bare essentials so you really live, and not just complacently get by on good behavior. And that's a major point I want to get across to you today. See, you've got to learn to pay attention on what moves the dial in the direction you want it to go. You've got to stop living your life on assumptions. You've got to stop living your life saying, well, what's going to be is going to be. You have to take the bull by the horns and you have to start effecting the changes you want to see. This is a very important point because it says right here, and not complacently just get by on good behavior. There are too many good folks who think that just because they have a good behavior, they don't swear, they don't cheat, they don't lie, that well, life is going to turn out good for them. Well, newsflash, there's so many good folks who are suffering. You don't have to go far to find that out. Just walk down the block. You're going to meet a very broke good fellow that you know. And you don't want to end up in that place because that's not the plan. The plan is for you to become wealthy, become an example, become a light, and everybody knows, okay, this guy didn't have to stain his character to become this wealthy, rich person that he is. And it says for you to arrive at this place, you have to concentrate your attention on what matters. Let go of the distraction. Concentrate your attention on what gives you results. Concentrate your attention on stimulating your creative survival. Don't fold. Take advantage of adversity, and when it comes your way, tell it, look, I'm going to use you, and I'm going to make this adversity become the stepping stone to my next level of success. I'm sure you learned something. Now hit that like button, subscribe, and share to your family and friends. See you in my next video.